Okay, so hey ladies, here we are.
Hello.
Episode 3, we're doing it.
We're here.
We've just finished with prom.
Senior
Oh
prom.
my gosh, senior prom
Yes.
is now in the books. Was it stressful?
Yes. Was it stressful? It was bittersweet, right? Like, so nice to see everybody dressed up and the emotions and stuff. But then also we had to process so many things. So I don't know about you guys. I kind of had like a roller coaster ride during my prom.
The mom or the daughter? Or both, y'all?
Well, I think we had two different roller coasters going on. Me with the emotions of watching her and knowing it's her last prom. And then she was simultaneously, I think, feeling the same thing. But it also, she was so excited about going, taking pictures, and being with her friends.
Playing dress up and
Yes.
just having a grand old time.
Yes. Did
Do you
have
think
that?
they were? Yes, and I think they were aware of us watching them in a different light. Do you know what I mean?
I think so too. I think mine was kind of watching to see what I was doing.
Yes.
Never does she do that. Hey, Mom, what's up? Or, hey, can you help me? Can I help you? I'm like running to her room. Yes, I can help you. No, I got this. Sure. Sure. Yeah, I had a few roller coasters too. And I think dealing with big events like this, when you're divorced, and I'm going to say, I still am going to say I'm newly divorced.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple years into it, all this stuff is still kind of new.
It's new.
The ex comes over with the girlfriend or fiance, whatever they are. And then my boyfriend's there. And then there's my daughter and her date. And you're just wanting everything to be normal.
Picture perfect.
Right.
Just normal.
What did, Can you see the air quotes on the normal?
Yeah, normal, yes.
Oh, yeah. But just talking through that, I think, was a good thing to be able to say, hey, are you okay? Is this going all right for you? When you continually ask those questions, I feel like they know you're watching out for them, even when they're in a weird situation or a different situation.
Did you have that experience, or was she emotional? Like, I know she emotes wonderfully already, but
Right.
did you see a difference?
She was a little stressed because, to say a little, but she was stressed because she knew that her dad was going to come to the pictures. And then last minute, he said he was bringing his girlfriend. And the
So
situation.
you're newly divorced as well. Yes.
So I think the situation there was that they haven't been together in a social environment with us. So she was, and I think she was worried for me, like saying, are you going to be okay? And so, of course, I was like, yes, I'm fine. I got this, And I really did think I had it until I didn't. But I kept thinking
dang it. Wow.
all I kept thinking was, I can't really show my emotions because this is her day and I don't want to ruin it for her.
That's a lot of pressure to hold your tension, as we talked about in the other episode, number 2. Yeah. How do you hold all that?
Well,
like
I
you did
just,
it.
at the moment, I just kept thinking, this is her day. This is for her. And when I walk out of here, I can have a total meltdown, which I did, by the way.
But
And, it was just the processing of seeing them together, then all the emotions of, that he's not very involved, but yet he was there and he was taking credit. So it's also ego. So I was like, I need to put my ego aside. This is not about me.
That's really good.
that's a big aha right there.
It is really
Sandra.
good.
Yeah.
And that's one of those, I remember my therapist saying to me one time, be careful what you say to your kids about your ex or when you're going through a divorce. So you do that kind of gut check of, they don't really need to know exactly.
What's the end result here? Yeah. What's the purpose?
And as you said, it's not about us on that day. It's about them. That's really good. Good for you, Sandra. Way to go
Now
through
we're
that.
doing
I
a
know.
golf clap.
I know.
Well,
It was, it was tough, and moments like that. That's when I called Jamie, and when I left, and I did have a meltdown. But it was hard. But then the next day, she said to me, "That was such a great day with my dad." So then I was like, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome," because it was like, there was some reward
For taking the higher road.
right? Because then it worked out somehow. we deal with it. We go to therapy. We do our podcast. And
we get through it. We're upright. See, that's, again, the epitome of being mom-proof.
Yeah.
We can handle anything that's thrown at us. We're not quite sure how or what we're going to do with it, but we can handle it and make it through. It's the mom-proof. I don't know, were you actually comfortable with being uncomfortable? That's one of those. Were you really, though?
Yeah.
No, but you made it through.
Tolerated it.
Right, you did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah. But how was yours?
Well, it's different in being in a married environment. However, my daughter's father couldn't be there because we have other siblings who had obligations elsewhere. And so that was something we dealt with, like, Dad's not going to be here for my senior prom. And I was like, and so, we did have to check in with her, like, on the chart, on the test of 1 to 10, like, please tell us how much it matters. And she was like, nah, it's okay. And
that is so good because kids these days want you to be everything. And I think that's one of the things to parenting. We can't be freaking everything. Right. You just can't. So good for you for doing a check-in. And
that's it.
That's really cool. She's so laid back. I can just see her like, prom's not that big. I know. We should switch. We should do a daughter switch, see how that goes.
So, well, how did it go for you, though, Jamie? Because you still were in a newer environment with your boyfriend and then your ex-husband and his girlfriend or fiance or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? It went great overall, all things considered, because I have a great sense of humor. I am not going to let shit get to me. I'm sorry. I may have a meltdown every now and again. It could happen.
Yeah.
But I went into that day like... This is great, And I was glad the way we did things because we did a little bit different. And this was a little nugget for somebody else out there going through the same thing. Pick and choose your environments to have everybody together in. Sandra, you didn't get a chance to do that. Right. But we did. We said, hey, Dad, why don't you come to Mom's house? We do pictures there. Then they don't have to go be in the whole 50 other parents. Exactly. Now, I don't know how often that's going to work, but I think that's a nugget and something for other moms or parents, dads to think about.
Yeah, because the important part is think about your child. How are they going to be at the end of the day? They want to be celebrated. They want to take the pictures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then but they also want to make sure that there's not a lot of drama or they're, afraid of,
And there was drama. There was drama.
Some haywire.
There always is. It's high school, for God's sake. Why wouldn't there be drama?
What I'm hearing, sorry to interrupt, is that Sandra and you, Jamie, and then Reagan, in her own way, showed boundary setting. Like, that's what the art is that I don't know if we necessarily teach well, but we have to model well. So everyone sounds like they did a great job of modeling the boundaries. And boy, I get a little freaked out thinking about boundaries in these next steps too, though.
Yeah, what? Let's talk about that.
Can we talk about what's going to happen on boundaries?
Whew. We all need them.
Wanting them is different.
Yeah. I'm so glad Facebook wasn't around when I was a teenager. I can't help but I got to say it. I just am. Thank you, Jesus. I am eternally grateful.
I mean, the culture is for kids to experiment and to be in social settings. And I know after prom, many of our kids and their friends went to a party that was more appealing than going to the prom. But it was it's like it was the norm. Like that was a cool part of it. Like we'd want them to be there. So they have to be able to go there and then gauge their level of inebriation, need I say, or is it just participation? Participation.
Yeah, they have to figure it out.
Yeah,
and I did feel bad that the student council worked so hard on the prom and they didn't want to go. And I think I've heard that every year for all my kids. Nobody, I mean, maybe the oldest one went to a prom. Right? We did. We weren't smart enough.
No, that's true.
Go somewhere else.
Get a DJ that's going to play all the right music.
But I did hear that that the actual prom was crowded.
Yeah,
I did hear it was great. You're right. You're right.
And then
that's so
like
good.
our kids, I saw some videos and it looked like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, sure.
But one thing I said to my daughter and her boyfriend before they left on the bus was, call me when you get back or call me. It doesn't matter where you are. I will come get you, pick you up. I don't want you driving.
That's right.
No questions asked. No. And, I just rather deal with that than have something happen.
Because this is a cool boundary. We're actually letting them practice some adulting in a safe environment. Because my gosh, there's too many stories of those kids that go off to college. We've heard them, we've read them. they overindulge and they don't make it. And I mean, like, literally die. So I love that we're parents that are pushing the boundaries a little bit on no underage drinking, but we're saying, I want to witness you do it. And then, like, okay, so I think it's good to check in with them too after a party weekend and say, did you get sick? How'd you tolerate? Like, literally, I just had that conversation with my kid. Did you get sick? She was like, yes. And I said, okay, so it's time to talk about water and moderation.
There.
So we had that conversation.
More tips to take away from today's episode. Make sure that you educate your kids about a hangover.
No, but you
Mine discovered Alka-Seltzer for the first time. They now think it's a miracle drug.
on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah. What? That really works?
And the thing is, like, talk about boundaries and balance, because as a parent, I'm not saying it's okay to drink when you're underage.
That's
like,
the
none of us are
That's
saying
right.
that.
You've got to be clear with that.
But you also have to remember when we were kids, we were doing it without our parents knowing. So then that's why I say I'm not going to ask questions. If you happen to do that, then I need for you to call me.
You know, that goes back into so many years of therapy for me. Just thinking through my kids and not really understanding that if you're setting boundaries, if they're following rules, if they seem healthy and they're okay in school, it's okay for them to do those things and make those mistakes. I was always a parent that was so strict and said, no, you can't go out. Are the parents home? The questions were just so insane. And not that I don't ask them anymore. It's just that I parent in a different way of trusting until they're not to be trusted.
Lead with trust if you can.
Yeah, if you can come from a place of peace, right?
Yep.
Lead with trust.
Yep, I like it.
Now, if there's a kid that's constantly coming in late, which I had one of those, wasn't following the rules, and it's a different story, right?
Yep.
But I think it is important to extend that.
Yeah, I do think
good.
that's really important. If you see, it's what you're saying. Like, in my case, my daughter has shown me that she can be trusted, and as a matter of fact, she didn't even end up going to the after party.
Yeah, heard about
So
that.
she's like, I just want to go home, and I went and picked her up. But there was a point, I guess, like at the beginning when freshman year started, that I was asking questions, right? And I was like, you can't go here, you can't do this. But then, we kind of like came to a point where I gave her some slack, and then she showed that she could be trusted, and she talked about what was happening or where was she going.
Yes.
And then now, I completely trust her. I trust that she's going to be honest and that she's going to do the right thing. But again, to your point, she's not coming home crazy or, sick or, so.
You know what this makes me think of? And I just talked with Ava about it last night over dinner. Sandra and I watched The Art of Living, Matthew McConaughey's whole
almost
thing.
signed up for it.
Yeah, so one of the things he was talking about was white lies.
Right.
And I thought this was so interesting. I thought if I had ever said this out loud as a parent to my kid, would they do anything different? I don't think so, because kids lie in general. But maybe just to say, everybody tells white lies, but you got to think about, and I think his point was, I got to a point in my life where I stopped telling white lies.
Oof. That's
Ever.
good.
Because it leads to another thing and another thing. And that's what happens with kids, right? So I think as parents, what can we learn? How do we manage that? If they are pushing the truth a little bit, coming again from a place of peace and with open conversation, it's so much easier said than done.
What do y'all think about, though, let's take it another step, just because our daughters have boyfriends or we'll have new boyfriends, or maybe you're leaving to college, maybe we'll, who knows?
Right.
But what about going deeper when they're experimenting with sex? And how do we have those conversations to keep that boundary kind of healthy but respectful? And did we want our mom up in our business after we were maybe sexually active, so.
I have no idea. I was a virgin when I got married. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're still a virgin. You're a saint.
Lucky virgin. No, I have tickets to Madonna. I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
That is interesting. And I think that's where probably some expert advice is good. Because my conversations are pretty high level, but just about safe sex, getting pregnant, choices. And maybe that next conversation, which we've had before, the power of no is no is no is no. And you go back to boundaries and talking to our kids about that. I mean, let's talk about boundaries. I mean, give us some good, solid stuff here that you can send your college kid off with. Right. We got to wrap up in a few.
But also, I will, and then I need you to also add something.
As a therapist.
Yes, and you as a mom who've had kid in treatment. So as a therapist, this seems so basic, but we know we need to clearly state the boundaries and expectations for our kids, whether that's around sex, drugs, rock and roll. We just want to make sure they understand what our limit is and what we think is healthy for them. As they get older, you got to dialogue about that particular limit, but stating it's important. And then you definitely want to have a way to reward them or let them know they have been affirmed in following those boundaries. If they haven't, you want to constructively help them learn new ways. But the most important piece is continuing to have a conversation and continuing to not be shy about boundaries, especially around the ones we're talking about right now.
Yeah. Right.
Which are how can we forego giving them many more conversations about how important their bodies are.
I think like when you do it, because
timing.
For me, I mean, my daughter has been with her boyfriend since freshman year. And it was really, I had to really think about this one. When do you have that conversation or what do you do? So, but then I thought about my situation when I was in high school, and my mother didn't talk to me about it, but then she made it like so bad, like it was so taboo, you know? And so I was like, I don't want to do that for her. So, I mean, what I did was basically tell her after she had been dating for a while, the same boy, I was like, I'm going to take you to the gynecologist and we're going to have like a checkup. And then the gynecologist talked to her about, diseases, choices, and all of the good stuff, And then when we left, I told her, I said, now you have the information. And I was like, and if you need me to get stuff for you, you need to let me know. And we just need to do that if you need birth control or whatnot. And I had people say, well, that means you're condoning it. And I'm like, no, I'm being a realist.
Yeah. Can we not care what the hell other people say?
That's it.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's so hard, isn't it?
Because we're better than our moms, though, on this one. Sorry, Mom. You're still amazing. But we are, I think, able now to go, I don't care what they think.
Yeah.
How dare they judge? Yeah. That's how our whole society judges so harsh. Let's love and come.
But that is important. I think that's great that you say, all right, here, if you're a teenage mom, a mom of a teenage girl, your girl got to get to the OB, to the GYN, to the You and Me or whatever that is.
YMCA.
By what, 17, 16?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Especially if they've been with the same boy for a year. Right. You see that they're committed.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'll continue to be an interesting conversation.
Yes, it will.
As we move forward. So I think today's episode session, you know what? I feel like I'm in a session.
It's like
I don't even have to pay. I love you, Kathleen.
I know. Hey, I'm getting a lot from you all too.
Well, I hope we're giving a lot to other parents too. Same. It's just, that our support group is so important, and you got to talk to people about what's going on. You holding it in is not good. So
I love it.
Chatter and chatter.
Definitely not.
All right. So that's a wrap. Boundaries, prom,
boom,
done.
Finay, over now.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.